All right, continuing on the Pilates segment of your DVD, we're going to do what's called a roll-up. Roll-ups are awesome. They're an exercise that gets a lot of core work. It has articulation in it. It's got extension of the spine. It's got lengthening of the spine. It's got a little butt work in it. It's got stretching of the neck. It's just such a phenomenal exercise. And they also say this exercise is really good for the digestive system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Dia to take her legs and extend them out. And then she's going to flex her feet. Most of the time people tend to want to point their toes. I want to keep your feet flexed. The reason I'm flexing your feet and keeping them flexed is this helps to fire the inner thigh muscles, which again help to stabilize the pelvis. She's also going to squeeze her buttocks. There you go, and you can actually see she lifted at the pelvis just a little bit. The next thing Dia is going to do is she's going to take her hands up over her head. Dia, what I want you to do at this point, take your hands like they are, but now lift your rib cage for me. Lift it up towards the ceiling. This is what we call popping of the ribs. That means that she's gutted in the middle, and therefore you can see she's very loose and there's no abdominals that are working at this point in time. So I'm going to get Dia to breathe in through her nose, and as she exhales, watch my fingers. She just closed up the rib cage, and now look, she's nice and tight in her abdominal wall. So what you want to do is bring your hands back up. You need to test and find out when you do this exercise, where are you? Are you a popper of your ribs? So as she takes it, have you noticed Dia's already pushing her rib cage down? Now I want Dia to do it as you take your hands back. Go ahead and pop the ribs like we just practiced. Popping the ribs up. And hopefully you can see from here that her ribs are popping. All right? Now, closing her ribs, she's going to pull her belly button in. She's squeezing her outer buttocks. Her inner thigh is squeezed, and she has her feet flexed. All right, so we're going to start the position from here, just for the first one. We're going to go ahead and bring your arms up and over and close up the rib cage. She's going to do me a light inhale. She's going to inhale, and she's going to bring the arms up so their fingertips are pointing to the ceiling. At this point, a lot of people will stay elevated by your ears. Will you take your, oh, there you go. Can you see her shoulders rising? And look where her hands went. Now go ahead and depress the shoulders, which will tend to want to pop the ribs. Now she's going to exhale, keep glued in the hips, and go ahead and come up and over, and you're going to watch. Her belly button is going to pull to her spine, and she's going to be in what we call C position. I want this curve in here, and I want her pulling her belly button towards her spine the whole time. Upper back is rounded, and I could probably drop Dia's head down a little more so she gets a little bit more stretch here. Dia's going to keep her feet nice and flexed. There you go. Now, squeezing your buttock for me and actually push your heels into the floor. Do an exhale. She's going to start from the lower spine by pulling that belly button in. She's keeping her hips glued because her inner thigh and her buttocks are squeezed, and she rolls down. When her arms come up and over, she's not going to pop those ribs, which means she would completely release all that ab work she just did. So we're going to try that again. That was actually very beautiful. You're going to inhale, bring your arms up. Now exhale, pull your belly button in, and you're going to gut out the middle. Note that her arms are about the height of her ears when her head's in correct position. If her head came up, a lot of times what happens is the arm's going to come up. So again, we want that pretty C position. Keeping her feet flexed, you're going to pull the navel in and roll down. One vertebra at a time. She's going to drop the shoulders and her arms come up and over. Now let me just show you a couple things that happen. Most people are so strong in their quadriceps and then the hip flexors that they can do this all with their legs and never use the core. So I'm going to get Dia to attempt to do it with her legs. Now that we've so worked on making sure core is doing it, we can make it kind of hard. So we're going to inhale. I'm going to get Dia just to come straight up, and then she's going to come over. That's more of a hip flexor, and it usually has a faster motion to it, and it gives more of a pull forward. And most people finish here, and therefore we're not in a C position. The other thing you're going to feel or see, let your belly button go, is the belly drops towards the thighs, which is meaning there's no core work involved again. Again, they're going to be clenching right at the hip. Now roll down one vertebra at a time. Go ahead and lock the core back in and drop the shoulders as you drop. Drop those shoulders. Belly button in, keep the chin, and arms up and over. All right, we're going to do this together at home. So go ahead and get your mat or your towel and lay on the floor. I'm going to get you to go ahead and lay down with your feet flexed. Both your legs are together. Your knees are looking straight up. Let's start at the top. Crown of the head, imaginary wall. You're going to close up the rib cage. Go ahead and show that popper again one time. All right, that's probably you. Use an exhale, which is going to blow and close the nice core muscles here. Now, she's going to squeeze her buttocks. She's going to kegel. Got that? Yep, you can even feel it fire. Now, she's going to squeeze her inner thigh and her feet are flexed. Let's do it together. You're going to do me an inhale through your nose. Remember, soft so the ribs don't pop. Then exhale. Pull the belly button towards your spine and stay in that gutted position. Excellent. Now, keeping your feet flexed, that was really good, and roll down one vertebra at a time. Feel each vertebra press into the mat, and your arms come up and over. We have 2 more. That was very pretty. I want you to inhale, arms up. Exhale, come up and over. The nose looks at the knees the whole time, staying gutted in the middle. Again, pulling that belly button towards the other side of the room, and then slowly roll down one vertebra at a time. Arms come up and over. Good. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, belly button in. Squeeze the glutes. Press heavy through your heels. And now what I want her to do is we're going to start on the next exercise. We're going to pretend like there's a wall behind Dia, and she's going to start from the tailbone and roll up one vertebra at a time. We're going to do what's called spine stretch. All right, with spine stretch, again, we're doing what we called earlier, extending the spine or lengthening the spine so that we stand upright instead of give into your posture, instead of giving in and weakening the muscles of our back. All right, so what I want you to do is come up and sit up nice and tall. Palms are facing each other. She's going to pretend like there's a wall here. The hardest part for people to get with this one is actually turning the tailbone under. So I'm going to get Dia to exaggerate turning the tailbone under for me. As you notice, she pushed into my hands. Now what I want Dia to do is pretend like you're actually leaning into me and trying to push into my hand. This is not the same thing because you noticed her body weight went backwards. So her shoulders went to the back of the room. Stand up tall again. So when you turn your tailbone under, you're only doing it from the lower back. So pull your belly button to your spine and turn the tailbone under. Keep going with that tailbone. Keep dropping. Keep dropping. All right, now you can see she's starting to stretch the lower lumbar here. She's going to drop the head and pulling the navel in. Do me a big exhale and then try to reach deeper, but pushing into that imaginary wall the whole time. So now you see the shoulders are going forward, but her back didn't move. Does that make sense? A little bit different. Now, I'm going to put my hand on her back again. She's going to start from the tailbone, turn the butt out first. There you go. And she's going to roll up the imaginary wall. That was really nice. Breathe in for me. Again, turn the tailbone under. Imaginary wall for you guys at home. Belly button in. Give me the deep stretch. You can actually go forward a little bit more, but push this. That's awesome. Can you feel that nice stretch in your lower back? All right, now let's extend and strengthen those muscles in the back. Starting from the tailbone, she pushed out. And again, articulating as she comes up. All right, I'm going to add on to this so that the back has to work a little bit harder. We do what was called extension. Fingertips go to the ceiling. The idea is to get them by your ears. Dia's pretty darn close at trying to get them by her ears. That's pretty. All right, she's going to bring her arms back to the side. Palms are facing each other. Lifting up from the chest. Remember the cues we learned earlier of lifting from the rib, belly button in? I want you to inhale for me. Now, turn the tailbone under. Drop the head. Look at the knees. Exhale, go deeper, giving me that C position. Now, lightly inhale for me. And as you exhale, turn from the tailbone, come up the imaginary wall. Crown of the head is up. Here's where she's going to work the back. Woo! And you can see Dia's got a little shake going on because it is hard. This is pretty. And then bring the arms back down. All right, you guys do it again with me at home. You're probably in this position by now. Now I want you to lightly breathe in through your nose. Okay, turn that tailbone under first for me. You can then protract. So that's where you can spread the shoulder blades, the head drops, and try to go a little deeper, keeping those feet flexed. All right, I'm going to put my hand on her back. Pretend like my hand is behind you. Turn the tailbone out first. Roll up one vertebra at a time. Again, lifting from the rib cage and the chest. Breathe in, and as you exhale, the arms are going to come by the ears. Beautiful. And bring the arms back down. And you get to bring your knees back in and give yourself a big stretch. Dia did a great job with this exercise. This exercise is so beneficial. I know that feels good. It's such a wonderful exercise to do. Actually, after you do this exercise, you usually feel pretty relaxed.